Thank you for having me. My name is Nathaniel Pawlowski from Canada. I'm going to speak about the consequences of abuse of power under the guise of health, set out by the WHO framework that local governments take upon themselves to implement. I'm the son of Pastor Arthur Pawlowski, who you will hear in just a minute. I am here today in desperation, a cry for help. I would like to stand here and tell you all the things about freedom and democracy that I like, but I no longer know those things. They have been taken away from us Canadians. Canada has fallen. We no longer have freedom of religion or freedom of speech or the right to protest or assemble or associate or express ourselves or have free media or disagree with the government. Anyone who does so is arrested, charged, and jailed as political dissidents. My father was just found guilty of inciting mischief for giving a sermon to the truckers when they went and stood for our rights in 2022. A Christian sermon that referenced the solidarity movement was criminal in our government's eyes. A charge that has a penalty of up to 10 years in prison. This case sets a precedent to all Canadians and the world if you allow this to happen, that anybody, including politicians and media, do not have the freedom to say or express what they have on their hearts for fear that what they say is mischief and could be liable to prison. I myself have been charged for preaching and reading the Bible publicly because the government claims the Bible isn't inclusive and is hateful. This is what the Canadian government is doing to us. In my father's case, the Crown Prosecutor, and I believe in naming names, because our oppressors do not get away with this without being named and shamed. So the Crown Prosecutor, Stephen Johnston, and Judge Gordon Crink claimed that when Pastor Arthur, my father, referenced the solidarity movement in his 19-minute sermon, it was an act of mischief against the government. The very solidarity movement that this parliament reveres and has placards about all over the building. The peaceful movement that broke the Iron Curtain and repelled the communist hold on Europe. The movement the Canadian government condemns and says is unacceptable. So I ask you, the rest of the free world, to intercede on Canada's behalf and pressure the Canadian tyrants to stop persecuting law-abiding free Canadians, especially clergy. They simply did their duty and gave hope. My father told the truckers to stand for their rights, solidarity style, and to do so peacefully. His sentencing is this August 9th, 2023, and if he goes down, we are all lost as Canadians. If a pastor goes to prison, what can they do to the rest of us? For giving a sermon in Canada, they are no better than the tyrants of old. So please, I ask you for help and to pressure Canada on this matter and to help us deal with our oppressors who act like modern-day Caligulas. Trudeau is a modern-day Caligula. We cannot allow these mad emperors to run mad. And remember, all of this is being done under the guise of health, safety, and protecting us. By stripping our rights and ushering in tyranny, we must not allow Canada to treat its citizens, and especially clergy, this way. The WHO has structured a way to take away our rights, and our local governments are doing that. Now you will hear my father. He will speak via video. So this is Pastor Arthur Pawlowski, political prisoner.
I am Artur Pawlowski, born behind the Iron Curtain in Poland, crushed by the iron fist of oppression.
The armed forces now rule in Poland with martial law and the threat of execution for those who break it. do wojskowej dyktatury.
The horrors inflicted by unchecked despotism have burned their mark into my memory. The December of 1981, when martial law turned our cities into shadows. The biting winters when the quest for bread met with empty shelves. The silenced voices of cutting forests. These memories led me to vow, never again would I bow to tyranny, never again would I let freedom's voice be muffled. This promise guided me to Canada, a beacon of liberty. You can keep it. I have a court order that says your actions are illegal. Back off. Respect my right. Freedom is more than a word. It's a measure of our humanity, courage, and determination. It's a cost borne by soldiers, journalists, and volunteers. We are providing necessity. But when the shadow of tyranny found me again, denying me the right to serve the needy, disregarding its own rules, I remembered, never again.
After receiving new enforcement powers for public gatherings Thursday, Calgary police have arrested Arthur and David Pavlovsky.
Get out of this property. Immediately get out.
Premier of Alberta right now declared that protesting is illegal. So when I opened my church in the protest against the government overreach, I spent 3 days in jail for my crime of opening the church in a free and democratic society.
Like a soldier, I've tasted the bitter price of freedom, endured the cold handcuffs and harsh judgment. The soldier stands unflinching, knowing that freedom bears a cost. There is a price to pay. Like a journalist, I've dared to speak truth to power. My voice, not ink, reverberates through Calgary and beyond, fulfilling the duty of free speech. Like a volunteer, I've served my community with deeds, not mere words, knowing that true freedom lies in service to others. St. Augustine, a pillar of our Christian faith, said, hope has two beautiful daughters, anger and courage. Anger at the status quo, and courage to change it. From my house arrest, I pose this question to you, honorable members of the European Parliament. How many nights in cold cell would you endure for freedom? What lengths would you traverse to defend your people's rights? You see, I have spent 50 nights in jail standing up for our right to gather and worship. It's time to rise, to say never again, to face the lingering shadows of the 20th century, to challenge the injustice of today. It's in your best interest for people like me to survive. Because when we go down, be sure of it, you will be next.